Welcome to the Overlap Podcast. I'm Overlap Echo, your friendly podcast assistant. Sid and Keith are back with a quick hit episode, although, let's be honest, their quick hits usually end up longer than a Marvel movie. Today we've pulled together a few impactful moments from past episodes, giving you a highlight reel of business wisdom, sharp wit, and a few unexpected insights. First, let's revisit episode 144, Hurry versus Intentionality. Sid shares his method for recalibrating business expenses by focusing on throughput, offering practical advice for managing overhead and staying financially stable.
We were really talking about, reducing overhead and really the idea of throughput being the deciding factor. And if people aren't able to produce throughput, you have to get rid of them because they're the ones that's driving up your overhead. They're the things, because it could be an expense too.
Yep.
That's nice to have, but you just can't afford it anymore. And really, when you come to recalibration like that, throughput is the deciding factor and the thing that you need to put the prism. You need to look through everything to see if you can afford it or not.
So when you looked at the team, when you looked at your team in this time you're in, and you looked at throughput, how did you determine where to make changes?
I came up with a series of A, B, and C cuts. I knew where we were, right? I knew how far off we were. No good, no bueno. But even more than that, some of these months were causing negative returns, negative, net. But I'm not okay losing. Not okay losing one single month. It's not okay. Because I know, and here's what it is. I know the cash flow ramifications that are going to come down the road. And if I don't hit it hard, it's going to wreak havoc on everything. We're a people and equipment heavy business in the landscape industry, and there's real seasonalities to it. And so if, 1 month you're $40,000, $50,000 under, and you're running a net negative, for the next 2 months, you're going to be paying that bill, and it's almost double that in cash flow. So net negative is really going to be, if you've got a 40% gross profit or something like that, 50% gross profit, that $50,000 is going to be $100,000 that you don't bring in over the next probably 30, 45 days. That's going to hurt. And where's that money coming from? To operate. And if it happens 2 months in a row, holy cow, you're in deep trouble. I say this with a whole lot of experience.
Yeah, you and me both in personal and business finances. To talk about debt, personal debt.
Yeah.
The same thing. You want to use that credit card? You go ahead.
And I was going to say, there's a lot of things that you can't cut. So either way, I knew the severity of the situation, so immediately started putting my thinking cap on and took it like a clarity break. Where if you haven't heard us talk about clarity breaks or thinking time, no devices, a different place other than my office, a notepad, and just really I had a bunch of reports, standard P&L, I had them broken out by month. I had year over year, period over period, percentage of income, things like that. So I could just answer some simple questions and then came up with just a list of all the things running line by line, what I thought I could cut and not hurt us from producing just the work that we had, right? Then I came up with the next series of cuts that might hurt, but might be necessary. I don't know. That was B. And then another series of cuts that if it really gets down to it, maybe we can do without this or that. Fair?
That makes sense.
It never got to the point where maybe we don't pay our insurance or our taxes or something like that. I've seen people do that before, and that's absolutely ridiculous. What is it? There's a restaurant around here that went completely out of business, just not paying their taxes.
Oh yeah, they'll show up.
Dude.
Don't pay them long enough. See what
happens. Get out of here. Hey, and they can take forever to pay you, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me started.
Yes, they can, as long as they want.
They owe me a bit, and I've been waiting on it all year. Never mind. So that's what we did. A, B, and C cuts, and all we did were we systematically went through the A cuts, tried to minimize the chaos as much as possible, and started reducing. And I ended up reducing somewhere around $20,000 a month in overhead.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about my friend Wes Cody. He's the president of C2 Wealth Strategies, a financial advisory firm dedicated to providing personalized solutions for your financial needs. Wes and his team of professionals are passionate about helping clients create wealth and achieve financial freedom. At C2 Wealth Strategies, they believe in taking a holistic approach to financial planning and are committed to building long-lasting relationships with their clients, ensuring their financial well-being every step of the way. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Contact Wes and C2 Wealth today at c2wealth.com to schedule a consultation. Let Wes and his team help you build your financial future.
Welcome back. I'm Overlap Echo, filling in for Sid and Keith today as your host. Let's jump right into our next clip. From episode 146, Bypass the Ladder for the Fruit, we explore how focusing on core strengths can streamline your efforts and deliver better results. Keith reflects on the importance of identifying what you do best, while Sid emphasizes the value of simplifying your approach.
He made this statement and it stuck with me, and I just thought about it for a week. He said, I figured out that I had to quit getting on the ladder and go after the low-hanging fruit. And
That's
I thought
poignant.
about...
That's poignant.
Yeah.
You thought about it. Go ahead.
And so I started thinking about, man, I really love to be on the ladder.
Why? Why do you love to be on the ladder?
Because that's the innovative, that's the daring, that's the great new product.
Oh, yeah.
Especially as I see new innovation come out, and because I'm in the tech space, you know?
Oh,
so
yeah.
as new innovation comes out. And so I started thinking about it, and I've really been on this train for the last couple years, is what are the few things I do well?
There you go. That's the question.
Yeah. What do I not have to get on the ladder for that I can just go to the bottom of the tree and pick off?
Yeah.
Although I want to do that and I desire to do that, but is the stuff that I'm doing that really brings the money in, am I efficient at that?
Yeah. Well, I think you answered that the way I would is at this point in my life, I kind of got an idea of what I'm good at. But I got a real good idea of what I'm not good at. That's easier for me to answer. You know, that's way easy for me. So if I can kind of stay out of those lanes and find people that really like to do those things, that was a game changer for me. That I thought I had to be in the dark crunching numbers and doing all the data entry because no one would ever want to do that. Turns out I got a girl that loves that stuff and actually does sit in the dark.
Yes.
And her reports are on time, closes the book super fast. And I'm pretty hawkish when it comes to a report. I'm like looking through it and I've got it down to go, yep, that's wrong. Well, how do you know? I don't know, but those percentages are way off and that something's wrong there. If it was like that, I would know it. We would all know it, you know, something like that. Never is her stuff wrong. It's pretty great. So knowing what I'm not good at and coming to the realization that others really like to do that kind of stuff ends up putting me in a position where I'm not getting on the ladder. To the point of the ladder, it takes way more energy to haul that damn ladder out, get it over to the tree, find the right spot, climb up the ladder. I'm not near as productive with that ladder as I am just pulling it down where it's reachable and putting it in my bag, you know. I got to there's just so much more effort involved, but we want to get up on that ladder because, God, doesn't it look cool?
It looks super cool, but I bet it's not in your 20.
It's not.
It all goes back to the 80-20
Yeah, it
rule.
does, man.
What products, services, benefits do you give your customers that are just your low hanging, that are just down there for them to pick.
Yeah. Get off the ladder. Just pick the low hanging fruit.
Our third segment comes from episode 152. To be unclear is to be unkind. This conversation dives into how clarity can transform communication and relationships. Sid and Keith discuss actionable strategies for approaching tough conversations with honesty and purpose.
The more you have tough conversations, the better you'll get at it.
Yes.
The more you train jiu-jitsu, the better you'll get at it. That's the only way of doing it.
But I think you do have to get comfortable with the awkward situations.
Yeah. Well, you get comfortable.
Because to initiate one of these conversations is awkward at first.
Sure. I would just start with the end, just going, when you get through one or two of them, let's just say the first one, and you don't die, on the other side, in like no one, the building didn't burn down or whatever, they didn't come in with an AK-47 and sort of like shoot everyone.
You mean the one we just had, like the one we just had with Tim when he asked for more money?
Oh yeah, that was a good one. He got a rather aggressive response. Well, no, I told Tim that I always like to be the guy that says yes.
Yeah, me too. I would love to.
But we can make that happen if get us there, and then I love that. So with the end in mind, the more you do it, the better you're going to get. The first thing I think you need to do is, one, like, set a time and make sure it's, in person. If you're a business leader, a business owner, and you don't really have an office, or you don't have a private space, go someplace else. You could take a walk. You could go to a coffee shop, although if you live in Fairhope, there's only a few that you could go to that you don't already know everybody.
Yeah, I can't
tough.
do anything in a coffee shop.
Yeah, those are tough.
Basically, I'm too famous here.
You really are. Isn't that right, Annabelle? So famous. So fresh. So famous. But either way, you got to find a place that's a little private so people can feel, eventually, if they warm up to it, they can be open and honest. It's tough to do that when there's lots of people walking around. So you gotta have a decent setting. Number two, I think for me, I try to like go in with a little bit of compliment. And what I'm doing is in my mind, I'm framing the conversation with the person. I'm really sort of prepping myself with gratitude that this person is actually working here. These are some of the good things that they've done. I really am appreciative. I'm not actually trying to do that to butter you up, and I'm not trying to do like the compliment sandwich.
You're not picking me up before you let me down.
Yeah, but I think it is, in my mind, it's psychological. Like the segue in an L10 meeting, it humanizes it. I want you to know that I actually appreciate these 1, 2, 3 specific things that you've done really well over the last year or month or whatever it is. I want you to know that. But then I segue in. But what I really am here to talk to you about today is X, Y, Z, or hey, we've got 3 weeks left in the quarter and it doesn't look like we're going to hit that target. And I just want to have a conversation about what could we have done? What can we do moving forward? And is there anything going on that I need to know about? That seems pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
Why do we avoid it?
What is the show we recorded a couple months ago or a month or two ago? Goals versus
standards.
Yeah.
Standards
so
versus goals.
Have I identified the standard?
Yeah.
And this isn't just a goal; it's a standard.
Yeah. This is the standard. Exactly.
Yeah. So have I identified them? And after that episode, I started looking at the standards that I've identified, and I figured out I had identified very few. And I made it more goal sounding.
Yeah. Aspirational instead of just, what do you call that? There's a word, but just like the price to play, it's just, that is the standard. We have to hit these metrics to be able to play. This is not an aspirational goal. This is how you actually get paid. This is how you generate enough revenue for us to pay you.
Or just keep the doors open.
Yeah, or keep the doors open.
Yeah.
So I like to start with gratitude. If there's some there, sometimes there's not. sometimes it's I don't know, but I try to do that. It humanizes and at least lets you know that I see you. Because I think subconsciously I understand. I've heard it enough that evil business owners and capitalists are soulless, and the media and like modern society or culture does a good job of villainizing capitalists, and I get it, some of them are bad, but I'm probably sensitive to that and try to break those barriers down a little bit to let you know that I am there. When I do have the conversation, I'm probably, like I said, the more I've had, the better I get at it. I'm looking for something that I don't understand. There's a gap between your performance and where I think you should be or could be, and I'm looking for what that is. So my questions usually center around that. What's your experience?
I was thinking that most of the time it's from a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
I'm misunderstanding what you're trying to accomplish. Because maybe I've not identified what you should accomplish and I've left you in the dark.
Yeah.
And not identified the standard.
Yeah.
And so I think miscommunication, especially around missing goals or missing identifiers that you need to do in your position, it's usually my fault. And so when I go into a hard conversation, I'm trying to think about, okay, what part of this did I cause as the leader?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's probably not just the person that I'm having the conversation with. It's probably some of my fault too.
Yeah.
And so every conversation and family also, when I go into a situation, that Stephanie would tell you I don't do this, but I try to say. But you
feel like you do.
Yeah, I feel like I do.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And so what am I missing that I did not communicate well?
Yeah.
And so I think that a tactic to have a hard conversation is go in with your faults also.
Yeah. So in a business setting, and I'm sure there's the same in like a family relational setting, there seem to be a ton of initiatives, revenue, productivity, whatever, profitability, labor as a percentage of income. There's lots of initiatives and lots of things that are important. And what can happen is that there's just a misalignment on what's most important for that individual's role and responsibility. They think should be focused on this because we weren't, like you said, weren't crystal clear about, no, it's not that, it's actually this, and that will drive that other thing that you're thinking about. This is the activity, the crucial driver, the critical driver that will produce the results that we're all looking for. If you're a small business owner looking to take your business to the next level, listen up. My good friend Chris Francis has spent over 20 years growing his tree care business to national success. Now he's partnered with Rick Miller, you've probably heard him here on the podcast before, Harvard MBA, and business consultant to create Roadmap for Growth, an online course to help you scale, build teams, and create systems that last. It's not just for the tree industry. This course applies to any small service business. Check out treebusiness.com or hit the link on the Overlap homepage to learn more. I want to take a moment to talk about someone who's been instrumental in my personal and business success. That's Johnny Barranco and his team at Barranco & Associates. For over 7 years, Johnny has been my go-to accountant and financial consultant. I can tell you that he's more than just a tax preparer. Johnny takes a holistic approach to all my financial dealings, aligning them with my long-term plans and personal lifestyle. I've recommended Johnny to several friends throughout different business groups around the country, and the feedback has been nothing short of exceptional. His expertise and service are top-notch. So if you're looking for someone who not only prepares your taxes, but also helps you strategize for the future, Johnny and his team at Barranco & Associates are the ones to call. Trust me, you won't regret it. So contact Johnny Baranko today and take the first steps towards financial peace. You're not going to regret this.
And we're back. I'm Overlap Echo, keeping things rolling as we dive into our final segment. Let's close things out with a clip from episode 153, Closing the Year Strong. Sid and Keith get real about employee engagement and why it's okay to have team members who just want to work here as long as they're intentional.
Have you heard I just work here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I get it. That's part of like, it's part of like worker culture. So it doesn't make me mad. It doesn't like enrage me or anything, but it does help me think that this probably isn't the right person. And maybe in my company meetings and you know, when you got all staff and stuff like that, maybe you need to address it. Maybe no one's ever said, hey, it is your company and it is your problem because, again, the only way the company pays you is if we execute. We've got happy customers happily writing checks to pay us. If that doesn't happen, then you have to be let go. So then it actually does become your problem. Now, if you do execute at a very high level, the company will grow, and then you've got more resources. You've got more resource to have better equipment. You've got better tools. You got better software. It makes your job a little easier. You probably add some people underneath you, and you're making more money. It all works by your intentionality in this role that you have. Everyone has so much more control over their future, whether they own the business or they're just working in it, than anyone ever realizes. And lots of people will just abdicate that responsibility and say, not my company, not my problem. Which, God, what a limiting thought that is. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Not my company, not my problem. And maybe, man, I'm saying all this right now, and I'm actually kind of thinking of the other side of it. Maybe work is just a means to an end, and what they really like doing is going camping, or what they really want to do is, you know, coach soccer or something. I'm throwing things out there. Well, they're just working for a means.
Now, let me say one of my pet peeves too is when a operator or a owner expects their employees, their team members, to have as much intensity as they do.
No, yeah, I totally get that.
Like, you cannot take someone that has been an employee all of their life and wants to be an employee team member. They don't want to own their own deal because they don't want the pressure that comes with the intensity that you have to be an owner or an operator.
Yeah.
So I get that.
I totally get that.
I love those people. I need those people to work with me.
We have a few of those, and I kind of protect them because people are like, oh, we got, you know, this person doesn't want to elevate. And I'm like, no. We need Indians. This guy is an Indian. And I'm not trying to offend any Indians. I actually have an Indian card if you want to see it. Cherokee, 1/16.
Yeah, I mean,
I probably could have got college paid for, but
I'm in Oklahoma, you know,
I've been to some powwows.
Yeah.
I've been to quite a few.
Yeah.
Okay. Either way, that's a good point. That's a really good point. I think I was saying that too earlier, and you said it way more succinctly, that you can't expect everyone to have the same burning desire that you have as the owner. What you can do, though, is go, well, you can't be in a position of leadership if all you want to be is an Indian. Totally got that.
Correct.
That's going to come at a certain level of pay, though, that people aren't always okay with. And so you can't have it both ways. You can't be just the Indian, but still get paid to be a chief.
Correct.
So,
but I am totally okay when someone comes to me and says, hey, bro, I just want to work here.
Totally fine.
Hey, give me a job to do and let me go do that.
Yeah. And I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally good with that. We've got a few of those, and I love those people. And maybe those people have it figured out.
Yeah.
Maybe those people have it figured out. That is not me. Clearly.
Yeah,
no. But maybe they're just happier people. I don't know how to rewire myself.
No, I don't either.
That's a wrap on this quick hit episode of the Overlap podcast. We hope these highlights gave you fresh perspectives to tackle your work, relationships, and leadership goals. Got a favorite clip or takeaway? Share it with us on LinkedIn at Overlap Podcast or visit overlaplife.com for more episodes and resources. Until next time, let's get better together. Peace.